Hey, welcome back. Things have been a little bit hectic in real life for me as of late, which in turn delayed the making of this video. I hope you understand. This video guide will focus on tier 3 of the dungeon, which features all major mechanics, as I expect a majority of the people will be farming that one in specific. As usual, most mechanics will be handled in a vacuum due to the random and HP based nature of them all. With that out of the way, let's begin. First, just like every other Transcendence dungeon, you will be required to kill a certain amount of monsters in order to proceed to the final boss arena. Regular monsters will give 2 points and mini bosses will give 45 points. And just like other Transcendence dungeons as well, certain special effects are applied. First is the HP leech nerf. This is active from level 2 and gradually gets stronger with each tier, up to 50%. Because of this, I'd recommend classes like Gladiator especially be careful when tanking, as you won't be able to recoup health as well as you usually would. Next, from level 3 onwards, getting hit by AoE markers on bosses will drop a starline projectile AoE on you that does moderate damage. Be careful as you can get hit by your own AoE. And finally, at level 4, every group member will be afflicted with a poison cloud similar to Dramata when a 5-star elite like the Statue Elite and mini-bosses dies. That said, the cloud can be dispelled, so it's pretty irrelevant. Now, let's get into the dungeon itself. First, as the dungeon starts and you head straight ahead, you'll enter a room with a bunch of these blue bubbles on a pedestal present. These will only be present from level 3 onwards. Walking close to them will make them surge and unleash a jumpable ring AoE that will deal moderate damage as well as have a chance to put you into a bubble prison if you get hit by them. People imprisoned in a bubble will sustain damage over time and cannot be healed. To break them out of it, someone has to jump into the bubble to pop it. I personally do not recommend killing monsters in this room for the kill count, as the ring AoE makes it pretty annoying and dangerous, and it is very easy to reach the needed count in areas that don't have these, even at the highest level. Going further down the path will lead you to a crossroad with a path on the right and a flight of stairs heading down. Head down the stairs and jump down to the square area to meet the first boss, singing a lid. First, let's cover the main mechanic. When doing a main mechanic, the boss will sing a specific tune tied to that mechanic. When you hear this, the boss will do a line dash AoE that will expand once. When you hear this, walls similar to the ones in Kermit's fight will appear. Getting hit by a wall will deal pretty heavy damage as well as slow you down. And while you hear this, the boss will drop 3 AoEs on the ground in succession that will then turn into donut AoEs in the same order. The AoEs will drop at complete random within this circle on the ground. Just go where the AoE dropped one after the other. When doing this mechanic, no other mechanics will happen at the same time, and getting hit by the donut will knock you down. Now for filler mechanics. All of these can happen while other mechanics are happening, with the exception of the triple donut AoE as I mentioned. First, the boss can do a point blank AoE followed by a donut AoE. Getting hit by these will deal moderate damage and knock you down. Next, the boss will regularly drop AoEs that follows every party member. Getting hit by one of these has a chance to put you in the bubbled state. If your player gets bubbled, the boss will target them with a triple line AoE, dealing very heavy damage if they don't get freed. Just jump into the bubble to break them out of it. Finally, the boss will regularly splash in and out of water, putting a movement speed reduction debuff on everyone within range. This will also make you drop target if you play in AION 1 mode, so make sure to retarget the boss when that happens. When the boss dies, a jump pad will spawn in the middle of the arena. Take it and glide to the entrance on the west to continue. After the second jump pad, continue forward, avoiding the jumpable ring AoE until you reach a sealed statue. Clicking on that statue will spawn an alien monster and close off the room, as well as make lasers that move obnoxiously slow, start sweeping the room. Kill the monster, then move forward. You'll then reach a room with a flight of stairs on the right with an other sealed statue in the middle of it. Once again, kill the elite monster that spawns from the statue, then head up the flight of stairs to fight the second mini-boss, Sea Pedon. Let's cover the main mechanics first. Starting at 65%, the boss will intermittently lock its stagger bar and say the line, "The fire will engulf you or feel the might of the spirits." When doing that, 4 diamonds will appear around the boss and start spinning, with 3 of them being red and 1 blue. Once they stop spinning, an AoE will shoot from the boss with the exception of a large cone where the blue diamond is. Getting hit by the AoE will do moderate damage and leave an undispellable damage tolerance debuff. At 50%, the boss will jump to the center of the room and begin casting a starline AoE with 6 branches. Once the AoE unleashes, cone-shaped walls will start spinning either clockwise or counterclockwise for 5 seconds, then disappear and reappear 1 second later where they were and spinning the opposite direction. Coming in contact with one of the walls will very rapidly eat through your health. If you have high ping, attacking while moving could get you hit very easily, which will result in rapid death. Because of that, I would personally recommend to only focus on survival while this mechanic is happening. Do note that invulns do work on that mechanic to avoid damage from the walls. At 25%, the boss will say the line "Be swallowed by the tide" and begin unleashing jumpable ring AoEs in rapid succession. There will will be 5 rings in total. The easiest way to dodge them is by standing about 10 meters or more away from the boss and continuously jumping above them sideways, as you will have to keep moving forward while dodging because of AoEs constantly dropping on every party member while the rings are happening. Once again, do note that it is possible to invuln through this mechanic as well. Next, for the filler mechanics. First, the boss can dash in the direction of the tank, slamming the ground multiple times in the process. When doing this, every party member will also get targeted by repeatedly dropping AoEs. Next, the boss can spawn an orb on a faraway player that will unleash a large point-blank AoE. And finally, the boss can slam the ground with both fists, leaving large rectangle-shaped AoEs on each side. Getting hit by one will stun you. Once the boss dies, exit the room, jump the wall in front of you, and head into the hallway to the right. If you're still missing a few monster kills, you can jump down to kill a few. Just make sure someone crosses the chasm to click the lever and open the lower door to let you back up. The last boss is Submerge Eman. At 75 and 25%, the boss will jump to the center of the arena and begin casting Screaming Storm. Once the attack goes off, it will kill anybody on the ground. To avoid that, you'll have to make your way towards one of the glowing circle jump pads on the edge of the arena, with the location of the pads changing at random each time. Once the attack goes off, you'll get propulsed into the air, and the boss will start doing a sustained AoE around it. At 75%, the boss will just stand still while doing it, so simply just glide towards the safe spot and drop into it, then resume DPS. At 25%, however, the boss will move while doing the AoEs. The boss will move in small increments, pausing and resuming movements in a random direction each time, for a total of 4 times. With high ping, it can be very hard to not get hit by the AoE while he's moving, so if you're struggling, just focus on closely following the boss during this phase. At 50%, the boss will jump to the center of the arena and unleash a rotating wall similar to the second boss that will always rotate counterclockwise. While the wall is rotating, the boss will cast Judgment of the Distorted Soul. AoEs will drop on the arena at random, and a bunch of white wisps will spawn across the arena. Coming in contact with a wisp will make it disappear. When the cast finishes, every wisp left will explode, dealing high damage. More than a couple of wisps explode, it will cause a wipe. The wisps are split in 2 rings, with one set being close to the boss and the other being far away. Simply split the party in 2 groups of 2, with each member of each group starting at different position of the arena, and focus on collecting the wisps while the wall is rotating. It is possible to DPS the boss while this mechanic is ongoing, but ensuring that enough wisps have been collected takes priority. Hold in DPS when the boss starts the phase to get out of combat by the time the wall spawns, then dashing to collect the wisps can be very helpful. Do note that it is possible to invuln during this phase to avoid damage from the wall and the dropping AoEs. The invuln will not protect you against the wisp explosion, however. Now let's discuss filler mechanics. First, the boss can slam the ground with its hammer. This will drop a large circle AoE on the ground, then trigger a jumpable ring AoE where the slam happened. There's 2 iterations of this. There will either be 2 slams in the front and the right of the boss, or 1 slam to the front. Getting hit by the ring will deal moderate damage and need a stackable dot debuff. If you perfect dodge the AoE itself, try to perfect dodge towards the middle, as if you perfect dodge outwards, you will get hit by the ring. Next, the boss will target the 2 furthest players with a large point blank AoE that will drop another AoE on the ground when it goes off, that will in turn leave a long-lasting large puddle on the ground that deals very high ticking damage when standing inside of it. While this goes off, the boss will also begin dashing while spinning in the direction of the tank, dealing sustained damage and inflicting a stackable dot to anybody getting hit. For the ranged players, drop the AoE on the edge of the arena in between jumpable pad locations. Avoid stacking puddles close to each other, as the puddles will persist until the donut tornado mechanic. And if the boss decides to go on a location where multiple puddles were dropped, it is possible you will be left with no space. For the melee players, when you see the ranged players leave to drop their AoE, prepare to dodge away from the tank to avoid getting hit by the dash too many times. You can also tell the dash is about to happen because the tank will be marked shortly before it happens. Once the boss is done dashing, it will turn towards the furthest player away from it and leash anybody in front of it. The players who get leashed will leave a ghost where they used to be, and the ghost will be tethered to each respective players. If you're one of the players that got leashed, run back and reunite with your ghost to make it disappear. Straying too far away from your ghost will deal rapidly taking damage until you get close to it. You can tell you're too far away from your ghost if the tether is red. Do note that this leash mechanic will be the first mechanic the boss does as the fight begins. To avoid everybody getting leashed right out the gate, have the tank pull the boss on the opposite side of the group. Finally, the boss will intermittently unleash a fairly large starline AoE around itself, bubbling anybody who gets hit by it. The AoE goes off very fast, so dodging it with hyping can be tricky. If you are melee, be on the lookout for any melee buddies getting bubbled. And that will be all for Eman. Just kill the boss and collect rewards. Before we go, a quick note to my fellow clerics. Every boss in this dungeon inflicts a large amount of very debilitating debuffs with their attacks. For this reason, I very strongly recommend you socket the debuff removal on Radiant Recovery and make sure to cleanse any and all debuffs as soon as they appear. Doing so will make the dungeon significantly easier. And that's going to be a wrap for Submerged Life Temple. As always, I hope this guide will prove useful to you. If it was, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. As a reminder, I stream this game several times a week on both Twitch and YouTube, so make sure to swing by and say hi. Until next time, take care.